Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Eric and I like to read, and today I'm going to be doing my September wrap up. So I know it's been quite a while since I have put a video out. It's been an extra long time for this wrap up. This should have been done a while ago, and we're already well into October. But I wanted to share with you guys because I'm pretty excited about the fact that I actually completed a readathon. So yeah, go me. The magical readathon, it happened again in September, and I successfully completed all of the prompts I had set for myself for the readathon within the month of September. So yeah, giving myself a pat on the back because that does not happen very often. It's very rare that I actually complete a readathon TBR. So I'm pretty pumped. But anyways, I wanted to share my thoughts on some of these books with you guys and go over them. So for that readathon, I was going for the demonologist schooling curriculum. And so I had to read 5 different books for my prompts. And so, yeah, let's go into it and I'll tell you what I thought for each one. So the first one that I read was for Elemental Studies, which was to read a book with your favorite scent on the cover, but I used a scroll of replacement for this one because I could not find anything that would work for that. So I read The Hungry Bones on my Kindle, and so this is like a murder mystery investigative true crime feel book. And so it's following a character who is what's the term? They're like a forensics person, but they go and study bones specifically. And so they're brought in on this case in New Zealand to study these bones that were found at a gravesite. But while they are examining these bones, they actually find another set of bones. And so from there, that kind of sparks some further investigation because this is something that they weren't actually researching. The original bones that they found were in regards to miners that had been in the area back in the day when they were doing gold mining there. And so they were looking into those ones, but then also started looking into these other bones. At the same time this is happening, a local serial killer also escapes from jail. And so from there, there's another side story going on. So you're following these 2 different things happening and it's getting very intense. And so, yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces with this book, but it definitely kept me engaged and involved because I kept wanting to know. I mean, the serial killer part that comes in kind of pulled me in even more because I was like, okay, this is really intriguing. I had theories going all over trying to figure out what was happening with that one. Uh, and I do feel pretty good about the fact that like I pretty much figured it out. Um, there were just some minor pieces that I didn't pull together until the very end, but I had a pretty good idea of what was going on. So that felt pretty good. But yeah, no, I enjoyed this book all in all. I would definitely read more of this series because this is a detective series, which I didn't know going into it. So yeah, there are more books following this main character, and I would definitely read more of those. So yeah, I would give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Next up, we had the Spells and Incantations prompt, and so this one was to read a 5-star prediction and a book that has been in featured in one of G's prompts before, or one of her videos. And so for that, I chose Throne of Glass. And I think I would give this one also a 4 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy it. I thought it was pretty good. I found it a little bit slow to start, but once it got going, I was really invested. So this is following a main character who is a well-known assassin, but they are imprisoned. And so the beginning of the book starts off with them getting a deal from the prince that's hey, if you come with me and fight in this tournament that my father is throwing, then if you win that, you can work off your years that you have in jail for him as his royal guard. And so this main character, she's all for it and she's like, yeah, let's go. So it's kind of following her doing this tournament, and all these different challenges while also playing a role within the castle and trying to kind of assimilate herself, but not let it be known to some people that she is an assassin. So yeah, it was very interesting. I think his name is Knox. He's a side character, but I really wanted to know more about this person. And So I'm definitely intrigued to learn more about them continuing the series. Um, but yeah, for a first book in the series, like I think it was pretty good. It definitely got my attention faster than Akatar did. I find that Akatar was like very slow for probably the first 2/3 of that book, and then it got good at the end. This one like started picking up probably within the first 50 or so pages. It just took a little bit to like get through those first 50 pages, but then I was in and I was invested. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a good time, a lot of fun. I feel like it might be a little overhyped. Don't hate me, booktube. But yeah, like I feel like a lot of people really love this series. Now they could be really liking like books further down the line, which totally makes sense. And so yeah, I definitely plan on continuing this series because I want to know what else happens. There's been a lot of like groundwork set forth in this first book, so there's so much opportunity for things to happen within the series, and I'm looking forward to finding out what those are. Then I have Conjuration, and so this is to read a book with a bat on the cover, and the only one I had was Dead Until Dark, and it's the silhouette of a bat. Um, this one, I think I'm gonna give like a 2 out of 5 stars, which is unfortunate because I have the entire series of this in a box set, but I don't know if I'm gonna finish this because like I found I found the book to have a lot of problematic elements to it. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It's set in like southern US. So I don't know. It's following a character. She works at a bar and she like this world is very known with the fact like yes, there's vampires out there and they kind of like live with vampires. Um but this main character, she's like really into this one vampire that comes into like her workplace, and so from there they kind of like start interacting more, and like a relationship kind of builds out of that. And so it's like it's following her and that, but then there's also these murders happening within this small town that they're in, and she's kind of like not really like investigating it, but she's just like I don't know, she seems like a, a side character within her own story, and all this stuff is happening around her. I don't know, for me at least, if it was happening, I would be a little bit more careful about like who I interact with. But yeah, that's just me. uh but yeah, no, I don't know, I didn't really like the main character of this book, and it was kind of hard to get through because like we're trying to follow along with her story, we're trying to follow along with like her hopes and all that stuff, but like I didn't really like her as a person, so it was kind of hard for me to just like want to follow along with what was happening to her. If I know that sounds bad, but like yeah, there was like a murder mystery element to this book, which was nice too. Like I thought that was fun. I enjoyed that, but like there was definitely some like racist undertones. I wouldn't even say undertones. Like there were definitely some racist parts of this book, and then there was very much so some homophobia, which I was not enjoying at all. Um, so like those things kind of make me not want to continue this series. Um, and I think that's pretty valid. Even the actiony scenes that were in it were not that great either. I think I was only just like invested because I was really excited to read another book with like supernatural elements that kind of was from around the time of like Twilight and that stuff. So I was like, well, okay, cool. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really jive with this book. So unfortunately, that's it is what it is. But yeah, so 2 out of 5. And then for demonology, I had to read a book that was given to me as like a non-reader recommendation. So my dad recommended the Beatles graphic novel, and I gave this one a 4 to 5 stars. I actually had a really good time with it. It was kind of like exploring the history of the Beatles, but in graphic format. And I thought that was a lot of fun because I actually didn't know too much about, like, I knew a lot about the Beatles songs because my cousin kind of like instilled the Beatles in me. Like growing up, I would always, when I visited my aunt and uncles, like he'd put the Beatles on record and we would listen to them and stuff. So I've always had like a love for the Beatles, but I didn't really know the history of them. So going through this graphic novel, I kind of got to get that history, and I really enjoyed that. I also love how that could be told through a graphic novel. Yeah, no, I had a really good time with it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and yeah, it was just exciting to like see their journey. And then the last book for demonology as well was a book that was like the oldest on your TBR, and so I chose my TBR jar because those books have been with me for a very long time. And the book I got from that was Bollywood Invasion, which this is also like kind of a Beatles thing as well, because this one is following a main character who ends up going back in time to like India in the 1950s or so, and he like creates his own band that is also kind of like a knockoff of the Beatles. They call themselves the Beatos, and goes from there, and like uses all their song names and all their song titles to kind of like be their own, but just in like this different version. In It's kind of like a different timeline sort of thing. And so yeah, like I thought the book was actually pretty interesting, and it was fun to follow along with that story from like that version of it. Um, yeah, this main character, I wouldn't say I agree with like all the choices they make, and like in when they started out, they're a 16-year-old, but then they travel back in time and are in this like set timeline for quite a while. Like they're in that timeline till like well into their late 20s, so they've gone through a lot of living and life experiences within this time. So yeah, I don't know, some of the decisions like right off the bat were kind of odd for a 16-year-old to make, but that's just a minor thing. I'd probably give this, honestly, like I would probably give this a 4 out of 5 stars because it kept me engaged the whole time, and yeah, I was just here for it. I wanted to know what was going to happen with these characters, and see where they went. There were definitely some hard moments in this book where I was just like pretty sad. And then there were other moments where I was pretty elated for the characters and like the cool situations they got into. So yeah, no, it was an interesting time, and also just kind of funny that like it was another Beatles themed book. Um, for the readathon. Yeah, it was interesting. And yeah, that's my wrap up of all the books I read for the magical readathon. I'm just super stoked that I actually managed to finish them all within the month of September and complete a readathon TBR, because it just never happens. So I feel really good about that. And yeah, let me know how you guys did with your readathon TBRs if you participated. If not, just put in the comments down below like your favorite book that you read in September. Anyways, if you guys want to support me, I have a Patreon and a Ko-fi page, which I'll put in the description down below, as well as a link to buy my bookmarks. You guys know the drill. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification button so you get notified when I post new videos. I post my videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Until next time, keep on reading.